Hello everyone, I hope you're all having an excellent Friday, and if by any chance you're not, then surely this game will improve it. It's a game from round 6 of the 2013 Candidates Tournament, and it's played between Peter Svidler and Magnus Carlsen. And we do have some photos to show you after the game, and a very interesting statistics after the game. So let's check out some photos. Here we have a photo of Svidler and Carlsen from this game, and also we have a nice photo from Svidler. It seems like someone is talking to him during the game, which I'm sure it's really not the case, but it really appears that way. So those are the photos we have from this round. Now let's see the game. The game is a closed Ruy Lopez, but it's very interesting how the game develops, but you'll see what I mean by this. We have e4, Svidler opens with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. So the Ruy Lopez is on the board. a6, Morphy's defense, bishop to a4, knight to f6, we have castles, bishop to e7, d3, b5, kicking the bishop, bishop to b3, d6, and a4. Carlsen plays b4, we have knight to d2, castles, a5, bishop to e6, and now knight to c4. Also, you could actually capture here, or even allow black to capture your bishop. The knight will be very nice on b3, but Svidler goes for the immediate knight to c4. Rook to b8, we have c3, we have captures, and now h6. Rook to e1 and queen to c8. Queen to c8 with ideas of bishop maybe coming to g4 later, but also if white decides to push h3, then maybe bishop captures on h3 will also be an idea. Bishop to c2, and this bishop to c2 is something new in this position, and it's something that Svidler decided to experiment during the game. And after the game, he said that it's not really what he was going for. Maybe an earlier h3 would have been better. Here Carlsen goes rook to d8, queen to e2, and bishop to f8. Carlsen doesn't bother with bishop captures on c4. It seems like an automatic. Why not capture this knight? It's a very nice knight. You completely ruin a white's pawn structure. But if you do play this, then the c pawn and d pawn really have a nice control on d5. Carlsen will never be able to push d5, and Carlsen did give up the bishop pair, so he didn't really gain all that much. And if you see Carlsen's games, then you will often see that Carlsen has no problems with doubled pawns. He often uses this to his advantage, and this is one such position. So bishop to f8, we have knight to e3, and now d5. E captures on d5. Of course, you don't want to allow d4. d4 would completely cramp white's position. If you play something slow like h3, then after d4, captures, don't really have a lot of great squares for this knight. Knight to f1, and now this bishop is really a pawn, and it's a really cramped in position for white. So after d5, e captures on d5, knight captures, and rook captures, and h3. Bishop to f5. Now Carlsen will pile up all of his pieces to attack the d3 pawn, as it's a weak backwards pawn. It can never really go to d4. So rook to d1, starting to defend the d pawn. Queen to e6, and now bishop to b1. Bishop to b1, preparing ideas like bishop to a2. But another thing this bishop to b1 does, and which Carlsen very nicely takes advantage of, is after Svidler even develops the dark square bishop, the rooks will no longer be connected. So queen to d7, piling up even further on the d pawn, bishop to e3, and now e4. And now you see the problem. The bishop on b1, the rooks are no longer connected, so you can never capture here, because a rook captures on d1 will be deadly. So knight to d4. Knight captures, bishop captures, and now pawn captures on d3. Bishop captures on d3, and now bishop captures on d3. Rook captures on d3, and now c5. And it almost seems like Carlsen just won a piece here, and it's game over. Well, almost. I will give it a few seconds for you to figure out why it's not game over. So I'm sure all of you can see it. And for those of you who are maybe too lazy, as it is Friday, for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, bishop to e5 is why it's not losing immediately, because now you're attacking the rook on b8 that's undefended. So rook captures on d3, bishop captures on b8, and now c4, locking down that rook on d3. Bishop back to e5, we have bishop to c5, and now comes rook to b1. Queen to d5. We have rook to b8. This comes with check. King to h7, and this is only move 32, but it's already the critical moment in the game. Here you can see that the queen is attacking the bishop on e5, and this queen on e2 can't really move all that much, because now the queen has to guard the bishop here. And here you would have to play something like rook to e8 to give more protection to the bishop, so you can mobilize your queen. But here Svidler placed a nice trap for Magnus Carlsen. He played queen to h5. And queen to h5, of course, it seems like, what are you doing? I mean, if I just play f6, then I'm attacking your bishop. You can't move the bishop because the queen is under attack. But actually, this would be a terrible mistake if Carlsen plays something like this. Because now white actually has a forced checkmate in 4 moves, and it's a very nice checkmate. So I will give you a couple of seconds if you want to decide if you want to solve this position for yourself. For those of you who were able to find it, congratulations, you have just beaten Magnus Carlsen, who has blundered terribly. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, the idea is queen to f5 check. Of course, the king has nowhere to go. Your only move is g6, and after you push g6, now comes the move you had to find, because I'm sure, like all of you, found queen f5, rook to h8. So this is the idea. Now it doesn't matter if you move the king. You can move the king, and then queen captures on f6 will be checkmate. And if you capture the rook, then queen captures on f6. This comes with check, and it doesn't matter where you move the king. Then either queen to g7 or queen to h8 will be checkmate. So yeah. A very nice checkmate at that. But after queen to h5, of course, Carlsen did not play a move like f6 or anything like that. He played the strongest move, and also a very nice position for you to pause the video and find what Carlsen played instead of this weird f6 idea. Now it's not an easy move to find, so feel free to give it even more time. But for those of you who were able to find this, I really congratulate you. Now you really shown that you are an excellent player. But for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, the move is queen to e4. Now there's a terrible threat of queen to e1 check, and then queen captures on f2. So how do you stop this? Well, of course, bishop to g3 is of course not possible. Simply rook captures, and you can't capture the rook because the bishop on c5 is pinning the f2 pawn. Another thing, if you play something like bishop to c7, simply getting your bishop out of the way so maybe you can activate pieces, then the real idea of queen e1 wins the game immediately for black. After king h2, queen captures on f2, and now there's really nothing for white to do here. Another thing, after queen to e4, Svidler played rook to b2. The idea is after queen to e1 check, he wants the f2 pawn defended. But now comes the real refutation by Carlsen. Here Carlsen played rook to d5. And now you see that the bishop is under attack. There is no more queen to f5 or any ideas like that, because the queen on e4 is also guarding against that. And how do you defend here? How do you defend the bishop? One thing you could do, you definitely cannot push f4. The pawn is still pinned. In the game, Svidler played rook to e2. Now, of course, you don't want to capture the bishop. That would be perfectly fine for white. But what you can do is actually queen to b1 check, king to h2, and now I'm sure you all see the move that wins the game. It's actually f6, and now I mean, as funny as it seems, a game from the Candidates Tournament 2013 is won by f6 that attacks the pinned piece. The bishop cannot move because the queen on h5 is undefended. So by trying to set a deadly trap for Carlsen, Svidler actually fell into Carlsen's trap. So yeah, that's one of the games from round 6 of the 2013 Candidates Tournament. I do hope you enjoyed it. We will show at least one more game from round 6, but I think we'll actually show 2 because they are very exciting games. And I did prepare one more thing, just not sure if I have it ready. Oh no, that's the photo of Gelfand. Let me just, give me just 1 second. Okay. Here we have it. This is something I just wanted to show you. This is a lifetime record of Carlsen and Svidler to this date, until 2018. As you can see, Svidler beat Magnus Carlsen 2-1 with 12 draws. So Svidler is one of those players that actually has a positive record against Magnus Carlsen in classical games. So 2 wins for Svidler, 1 win for Carlsen, and 12 draws. And if you check out only rapid and exhibition games, then Carlsen beat Svidler 10-5 with 10 draws. But in classical chess, it's actually Svidler who has the lead. Just wanted to share that information as well. So yeah, that was the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Paul Osterlach and Matthew Goss for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with another game or 2 from the 2013 Candidates Tournament. Thank you all, and I'll see you soon.